Stuck in the Middle. This is your girl, Adele Clarice. Shout out to Stuck in the Middle podcast. We love you guys.
General, I feel like I'm stuck in the middle.
Stuck in the Middle podcast. Big shout out to the family. I'm talking Reflex, aka Achuri, and the rest of the gang. Hey, make sure you bring all your important information, your art, everything in the DMV. Doesn't matter where you are at. Come to the DMV to Stuck in the Middle podcast. That's where it's at.
This is Stuck in the Middle podcast, a platform from entrepreneurs, innovators, creatives of African descent. Hear stories, ideas, experiences, and advice on breaking the mold. I'm your host, Uncle AK. Thank you, returning listeners and watchers. If it's your first time, please hit that bell notification at the bottom to get weekly notifications on whatever podcast we drop. You know, we have the Couch Talk hosted by Sir Charles, and we have the Artist Spotlight hosted by Tutu. You know, shout out to Reflex, Ma, Choo Choo, Inyas. I miss anybody? If I miss you, my bad. You know, welcome to Stuck in the Middle again. Today with me, I have a very special guest. I'm really excited about this one. Very excited. Let's get into it. You know, she is a young, independent Black woman with a vision to help young Africans embrace a positive shift in culture, learn practical tips on talent management, entrepreneurship, wealth creation, a value-added life, and meet their full potential. Please help me welcome Sylvie Tamanda to Stuck in the Podcast. How you doing, Sylvie?
I'm doing very well, Uncle AK. Thank you so much for having me, really. I'm so excited to be here. I can't believe that, it's just a couple of weeks ago, I ran into your recording with Kate. And I was like, hey, Kate, that's my girl. We're in school together. She's doing great. And like, I have to email these guys to tell them that I really love what they're doing. I'm all about value-added stuff. And when I see young Cameroonians who are not distracted by entertainment only and all these crazy things that young people have decided to focus on, I'm really excited, and I'm always out there encouraging and saying, hey, you're doing a great job, keep going. And I'm so delighted to have, received your invitation to be on the show.
Oh yeah, thank you. Shout out to you. I even forgot. That's how we actually got this going. You actually reached out and said, like, hey, it was actually from YouTube. I said, like, hey, I know Kate. We went to boarding school together. And then I was like, oh, okay. So that's nice. Then a couple minutes later, an email comes through. I'm like, whoa, she's really serious. So that's when I was like, yeah, I'm gonna just tell her to call the platform, because a lot of people don't do that. A lot of people would see, what we record. They would, consume the information, but they will not comment. They'll just, keep it moving. But you actually give us that feedback, drives this, it makes us wake up and want to do this often. So appreciate you for that. Appreciate you.
My pleasure.
Yeah, shout out to Kate. Shout out to Kate, the Agilist. She's been putting a lot of people, through Scrum. Shout out to everybody out there too, who is educating people about Scrum or Agile, getting people 6-figure jobs. Shout out to you. This platform is all about that. It's all about having people like you to come educate the masses, on finances, help them get jobs, They say a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a step, right? And these are the steps that people need to start taking, with financial freedom, for financial gains, we always say work-life balance, stuff like that. But let me stop rapping. Let me ask you this. You mentioned on one of your posts that the major key to your battle is no one else but you. I find that very, very fascinating. Please break that down.
All right. Thank you very much for bringing that up. I always tell people, one of the things that fascinates me is the fact that people have a very long list of complaints and reasons why they are what they are, or they are unsuccessful. And every time I turn around and say, hey, you're complaining so much about Cameroon or about the particular environment in which you are, but there are people who are making it in these environments. You say the government is corrupt, taxes are too high. Is it any different from these other people? I don't think so. There's so many people born in America, Black people, who complain every day about systemic racism and all these things. People travel from Cameroon and other poorer countries, and they come to America and they live the American dream. They get the skills that they need, they get the training that they need, they get into professions that pay 6 figures, 7 figures, 8 figures, and they build businesses from the ground up, literally coming from a place of nothing. But you're born there and you keep complaining, you're in the hood doing drugs and stuff like that. There's no, in fact, I always tell people that manna is not going to fall from heaven again. It's over, done and dusted. It's, yeah. We
Say that
have
again.
to, yeah,
Please say
it's
that again.
manna is not going to fall from heaven again. It's done and dusted. Jesus, he did it. And he was like, hey guys, I've given you enough to eat. Now get to work. And I always say that if you understand it, that no one, not your president, not your minister, not your father, mother, brother, sister, is going to make you who you want to become. Once you get that, then you know that you're on your own. If you know that you're on your own, honestly, if your survival instincts do not kick in, then there's something wrong. There's a fundamental problem. So that's why I say that the major key to your backup is just you. It's you, because if you know that you have no fallback, honestly, when you're thrown into the deep end of the sea, you're going to ask yourself, am I going to sink here or will I swim? But when you start to imagine, or you feel that there's someone that you can reach out to. I have a brother in America that I can call to send me money. I have a sister in the UK that can, send me some 200 pounds. I have this and that. Then you don't activate all your senses and you don't really get to work. That's what I think. And it's based on my personal experience from the age 16 when my father died. Maybe I'll talk about it, as we go on. Yeah.
So, let's go back a little bit, right? I know most people are watching right now and are saying, oh, she's rapping. Who is she? So who is Sylvie? Tell the people who Sylvie is.
Oh, wow. Well, Sylvie, who is Sylvie? Well, I've always been a driven person, I want to imagine. From the age 16, my father died and I was born into a polygamous family. It was really a battle. My father was a successful entrepreneur. I think that one of the things that I took from my dad, besides his height and his, his physical looks, is that entrepreneurial spirit. I got that from my dad, and my dad passed when I was 16. I was going to one opposite. He had a car crash, never said goodbye, and that was it. He was gone.
Oh, man.
And my dad was the breadwinner. When you're growing up in a family where you get to have everything, you really have nice things.
Yeah.
My dad was a very hard worker, and he was a successful business owner. He had a really good big company back then in Douala. And when he died, things became really rough. I had to cry for everything. And when he died, I thought to myself, what's going to happen to me? This whole situation, this stepmother,
Yeah.
My uncle took over. It wasn't so smooth sailing with my uncle. He was managing my dad's business as the GM at the time. And I remember I used to cry for my tuition. But when I passed my A-levels 5 papers, I went to uni. I didn't go to the usual UB or, I went to private uni in Douala. One of the things that I decided to do when I got to uni was that I was going to stand out. When it is, how it is when you have everything growing up and then you suddenly don't have anything.
Yeah.
He was, that's why I said that once you understand that you're on your own, your survival instincts should kick in. If they don't, then something is definitely wrong. When I was going into uni, I remember the first day, and the owner of the university, he was there on the day of induction. And then he announced that those who are first of the class will get a scholarship and stuff like that. And they'll get paid for being the first of the class because it will be the head of the class.
Get paid?
Yeah. Literally. Yeah. So I turned to my girlfriend. We're from the same boarding school. She's in the US as well, Chelsea. And I said, Chelsea, I'm going to be the first in my class. I was doing banking. She said she will be the first in the marketing class as well. Yeah. And, for me at the time, that was all that mattered. I went to school every single day, focused on being the first in my class. I got that scholarship every year. I got paid every month because I was a class head. And going through uni, not going to a nightclub, not going to a snack bar and stuff like that, throughout the time that I was at uni was for me, it was the beginning of or the path that I was going to take in life. I didn't have time for, joker. I didn't have time for that. I meant business. And my mom has 7 kids, and I'm the second, so I had many siblings behind me. And you can imagine how tough it could have been, because my father died when my mom was 3 months pregnant or something like that. So you can imagine, yeah. And so I went through school. I did really well. I think I was a 5th in Cameroon for banking and finance on the national level. And then when I did my internship, I did so well that the manager of the branch, he's in the US as well, Manager Waters, he said to me, wow, I really enjoy how you work. Please come back when you're done. So when I finished my HND, I went immediately into work. I was going to do a 6-month probation. My uncle, who had taken over my father's company at the time, had a car crash as well, but he didn't die. He was on the wheelchair and eventually died later. So my elder sister and my step elder sister at the time, and myself, because I have an accounting background, for accounting and finance. My dad threatened me and said, you must do accounting because I want you to come and work for me. Yeah. I hated it at the time, but I eventually did it. And so, when my uncle died, we said, no more family, we can do this. At the time, I was 19? And my sister became GM of my dad's company. I became finance manager.
How old was your sister at the time?
She was 30. She's much older. She was 30. Yeah, she was 35 or 37. Gotcha. Yeah, she's much older. And the two of us, imagine 2 girls in Douala in the business world, handling a big company like that. And at the time we had debts, it was a big hassle. And I was just there, okay, and you're working, because it was a technical company, you're working with grown men. I said, Sylvie, bonjour, those kind of things. And you're like, But at some point in time, I became so tough. I used to be very quiet and shy, but I became so tough, I couldn't even recognize myself. Because when you're thrown into that deep end of the sea, I'm telling you, you will swim. You will swim until your body gives up. You will swim. And that's how my sister and I took the company out of that mess. We brokered so many big deals. And then polygamous issues started. Things went completely south. Fast forward, I left the company in 2012, maybe 2 years later. I created my first company. I went straight to Limbe. I spoke to a lawyer, created my first company. I paid him about 450K at the time. And I said, okay, I'm going to go find my own deals. I've learned well enough. I was going to compete with my dad's company, literally. Because it didn't go down that well. So I started looking for work. At the time, I couldn't find work, so I got into network marketing. And in the first month, I think I made about $1 million selling forever living products. And people were like, what? How did you do it? I'm like, if you're hungry enough, you will find the people to buy the products and make the commission. And I got into so many things. I've done, quite a handful of stuff. And then the last job I had, fast forward, the last job I had in Cameroon I was working as finance manager for a Danish multinational. When I left, and I'll just explain how I found this job much later, because people complain a lot that there's no work, but there is. Yeah. But people are just not prepared for opportunities. They're not prepared. People think that it's so far-fetched, but it's really so close, like under your nose. You just need to be ready for when the opportunity shows up. After that, I wanted to have my MBA desperately before I turned 30. So I, started looking for MBA programs. I got into one, and then eventually traveled to the UK, where I had my MBA in global business last year. And since then and then COVID hit. I didn't even get to graduate.
Wow.
Since then I've been doing my thing, just trying to.
So you're currently in the UK right now?
Yeah.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. What time is it over there right now? What time is it?
We're 2 hours.
Okay, that's not bad. Okay, that's not bad. I thought it was like, okay.
Yeah.
Well, how's the UK today? How is the
Uh,
UK today?
It's okay, nothing to see here.
Well, I appreciate you again taking the time to talk to me. I didn't even know you were, you were based in the UK. So yeah, thank you.
I'm not in pay. I'm not in pay.
Thank you. No, I actually thought you were in the US. That's the thing. I didn't thought you were in the US. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, you've said a lot. There's a lot to unpack, in everything you said. But I want to start here with network marketing before we really get into, blogging and podcasting. I really want to start with network marketing since you mentioned that. A lot of people hear network marketing, right? And they have this negative connotation to it. Like say, oh man, I don't want to be, and you say you have to put in the work. You have to know what you want to do it, right? So speak a little bit about network marketing, the importance of network marketing, because a lot of people think that network marketing, you get in there, it's like a Ponzi scheme or what have you. What's that one thing? I'm forgetting the name right now.
Pyramid.
There you go, pyramid scheme, right? But speak about network marketing and what you've been able to use that to drive, your businesses, successful businesses.
Well, for me, I would say that if you want to become a network marketer, you have to do it intelligently. What I did when I joined Forever was that I first off took off the time to understand what their scheme was about in order to best exploit it. For many schemes, they tell you that, okay, if you're able to have 3 people working under you, you get paid X percentage. But so many people think that is by doing the work yourself. No, if you understand that you get more money by having people lying down under you and who make purchases, why do you, if you've got a million CFA, for example, why do you go and buy products directly for a million CFA and lose out on 20% from 3 people who would have used the same money and bought the products, and it would have come all the way up to you? That's the way I exploited the whole network marketing thing. It is very easy to make it if you take the time. Unfortunately, Uncle AK, a lot of people who do network marketing are not really exposed. They're not people who I don't want to insult anyone, but they're not people who are exposed in the sense that most of the time they're people who haven't really gone through a formal type of education. This is in the Cameroon context, and so people just hear about a scheme that they're going to give you lots of money. If you see the women who come to these conventions and all, and you try to have a conversation with them, you understand that they've been sold a dream and they don't really know how to unpack it and pick it and do it in such a way that it benefits them to the maximum. That's the thing about network marketing that people need to understand. And also, if you're doing network marketing, think about it as your business, as your mini enterprise as a franchise. Think about it as a franchise. So what I did was I recruited people under me. Yeah. I asked them, do you want to do this? Are you making any money at all? They're like, no. I said, okay, I've got the budget. I can buy products for you. You sell them. You give my capital back to me, and you keep the profit and start buying products on your own. But I know that I get paid for doing that. So I'm not losing entirely. And then I am building my network of people who are willing to work, but just don't have the financial means at the time to get into it. So that's how I was able to scale up really quickly when I was doing that. Yeah.
And I'm guessing that's what led you to, start young and independent, right?
Not at all.
Okay. So what made you start young and independent?
I left that way many years back. I left the network marketing many years back. So what led to young and independent? Last year, obviously, COVID-19 has really been a fundamental. For so many people, COVID may have been a really horrible thing. I had COVID and it was terrible. I don't wish that experience for my worst enemy.
But I think I had it twice.
Oh my God. Sorry.
But it's all good. We're still here.
Yeah, thank God. For so many people, COVID has been like a nightmare, but for me, it has been more of a blessing. I'll explain. I'm really sorry. My heart goes out to all those who have lost their loved ones, those who are, who have got loved ones in hospitals. I pray for them every day. But there's a saying that never waste a crisis, right? And what COVID did for me was that it was a moment of reflection. Like, okay, this is a perfect lesson that you cannot depend on one source of income, one. So I went online and started saying to myself, okay, what can I do with my life from this point going forward? And that's why I said to you in the beginning when we're off cam that I feel like I've been living under a rock, because the amount of money that I've made in less than 2 years, I'm like, what? Like,
Yeah.
Okay, so
You're still sucking it in. You're still sucking it in.
I was doing all these, when I was doing all the thinking and the, just doing research on the kind of things that I can do, work from home, spend time with my kids. By the way, I've got 2 boys. And I was asking myself, what can I do in order to spend more time with my kids? And while I was checking YouTube, which is like the go-to place now for anyone who has any sense of what YouTube is about, I went there, and while I was watching a video, an ad popped up, and it was my coach at the time, Coach Laura Lyles in London. She was doing an ad, and she was saying, if you're a woman, you need to come on this course, it's free and all that. So I clicked. Obviously, it wasn't free. I ended up paying some hundreds of pounds for it.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the best investment I've done on myself, like forever. It's not a Gucci bag. It's not a Louis. It's not a Louboutin. It's none of that. This is the best thing that happened to me. After that course, I immediately went online and said, I need to start to spread the information. When when you've seen the light and you run back, just imagine a scenario in a movie where someone sees food when people have been so hungry, where they're coming from. And you're like, oh my God, I need to inform everyone that there's food here. That's how I jumped on YouTube. I saw Pat Flynn. He had a free course on how to create your own website. I created the Young and Indie. I'm not tech savvy. I'm not going to lie.
No, you did a good job.
The determination in me wanted that website up and running. That was July last year, because I just wanted to start teaching my people that there's plenty for everyone. I mean, I took this course for 5 days and it just changed my life. First off, this is someone who has always been, I've always been anyone who knows me, anyone watching this will confirm, if they're not being biased, that I've always been a focused girl. I've always had my mind in the right place. You will not find me, in some crazy stuff. You would never see me there. So if I'm telling you that this course made me feel like I'd been living under a rock, believe me, it was a mind-blowing experience. Because one of the exercises that she asked us to do was to write down 100 things that if money and time were not an issue, you would love to achieve. When I wrote the first 13 things, I got stuck, Uncle AK. Imagine that someone is telling you that you've got all the money in the world and all the time in the world. What would you do? 100 things. I got stuck. I was so frustrated. It just opened my mind to the fact that I've been limiting myself to an extent that I didn't even know, and when I finally break through the first 50 things, I just couldn't stop writing. I've got the exercise book. I just kept writing and writing and writing. And I said to myself, these are all the things that I can achieve, really. Because the Bible says that, we can do through God exceedingly and abundantly more than we could ever ask for or imagine. And it is true.
Yep,
it is true. It is true. It doesn't depend on your circumstances. It doesn't depend on your handicaps. It only depends on you. You. What's in your heart? That's what it depends on.
Yeah.
And so when I started Young and Independent, I felt that, a lot of people back home complain that they're broke and all these things, but do they really know that they are the cause of their own circumstances. You're complaining that you're broke, but when you go on Facebook, someone starts a comedy show, it racks up 20,000 followers in 30 days. So these people who are broke, what are they spending their time doing? Watching comedy? How does that add value to your life? That's why I always say in the beginning of my podcast that less materialistic, you're carrying wigs that will cost you the amount of money that you could start a business with, you can start your company with. Yes, you're broke, texting me and asking me for 10K to go to hospital because you've got malaria. Excuse you, you've got a wig for 500,000. Like, I don't even wear wigs for 500,000. So those are some of the things that I looked back at our community and said, Sylvie, you've got to do something. If God puts you in a position where, that's why the Bible says that to whom more is given, more is expected. If God exposes you and gives you all this knowledge and blesses you in this way, the least you can do is to bless others so that you can be even more blessed. So that's why I started Young and Independent, completely free. The information is out there. I give people information about how to start a business without any capital at all. I use the experience, my own personal experience. That's what I blog about, things that add value to people's lives. That's what I say in the podcast. And I really, truly, 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 and deeply believe that if people have this information and they take it seriously, it will change their lives. No one is going to go hungry. No one.
You mentioned the class you took. Do you remember the name of the class you took?
The coaching course?
Yeah, the coaching course, yeah.
Oh, it was,
Don't worry. If you when you remember, you could just text it to me and I'll put it down in the show notes. Or you could go or let the people know, your website, your social media handles, so they can also go follow you and also, follow your check on that too. Let the people know.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Let the people know your website and social media handles.
Okay. So my website is www.youngandindependent.com, and podcast is Young and Independent. Instagram, Young and Independent 35. I wanted to make it Young and Independent, but it was taken for some strange reason. And I have a Facebook group, which is free, where I post job opportunities every single day on Facebook, Young and Independent People. We've got about 566 members right now. One of the strange things I noticed is that when I post job opportunities, people don't comment and people don't share it, which is one big thing I want to talk about on this podcast, Uncle AK, because I think that's what's killing our community. We as a race, we complain that we are being marginalized. We complain that we are being looked down on. We complain that we are being killed. But hey, we don't love ourselves. As in, the scarcity mindset that has eaten into us is just mind-numbing. Someone knows that, hey, Uncle AK, this path you're going down, you're going to hit a roadblock. They don't tell you. This nonsense going on in the country where you go back from bush, they poison you. It's just scarcity mindset. Because if you poison me and I die, are you going to take my passport and travel back to England? I don't think so. Are you going to access my bank account? I don't think so. What benefit does that add to you besides, waking up devils? Because if you poison me, I'm going to come for you. You know what I mean? I think that we need to understand that there's plenty for everyone. I wrote an article about Rihanna beats the scarcity mindset. And on that article, I was just explaining that Rihanna had just been declared the latest billionaire in the entertainment industry, the second richest woman, I think, in the entertainment industry. And do you know Rihanna's background? She was selling clothes in Barbados with her dad in the streets. When she left, and I'll get into this whole talent thing, I'm where I am today, not because I'm too fantastic, but just because my head's in the right place, my heart is in the right place, and I'm determined to succeed. When you have these three things, man, doors are going to open. You're going to knock many doors. You may find quite a few locked ones, but eventually, if you keep going, you will find one open door.
Yeah.
And so if people understand, just like Rihanna did, when she got into beauty, how many, is there not Mary Kay? All sorts of beauty products were existing. Rihanna just came in and said, you know what? You guys have got your beauty products, but I want to put mine on the market. She put Fenty. In less than 2 years, Fenty racked in a billion. Like
Just like
you
that.
know, just like that.
Just like
But
that.
if she had said, oh, too many people are already doing it, like someone says, I'll not apply for that job, too many people have already applied. I'm not going to start this business, too many people are already doing it. I'm not going to do Scrum Master, too many people are already doing it. I'm not going to start a podcast, too many people are already doing it. People just find an excuse not to get their hands dirty. And this alone is the reason why our people back home are just, for me, they're just marking time. It's like, if something is not done on PAK, the Cameroon we know is going to be much worse, with or without President Biya. Much worse, because young people, their focus is just, I'm like, what?
Priorities have changed.
Completely.
Changed completely, yeah. The sense of direction changed. You know?
Completely.
Ambition gone.
Completely. That's why I started this Young and Independent project. I mean, okay, I've got a WhatsApp group as well where I coach some young people. I posted, I made a comment on the group and said, guys, I'm waiting for business plans. I've got 500K I want to give to someone who's got a brilliant business plan. Trust me, no one has given me their business plan.
Why do you think that's up? Is it because they're scared, or is it because why do you think that's up?
You see, the first thing is that someone has to have an information. The second thing is that they have to have a motivation. The third thing is that they have to have the skills. So if you don't have the information, there's no way that you can even get ahead. If you have the information and you lack the motivation, it doesn't add any value, does it? If you have the motivation and you don't have the skill set, right there is where you have to get to work and start learning. Everything is learnable. I created my own website in 2 days just by watching a guy on YouTube. I didn't have to have $100 to do that. So don't come and complain to me that you don't have money to start this or that. No. It's not true. If you want to do it, you will find a way to do it. And I keep telling people that we are all born with a talent. That particular talent is what God has put in us to come out here and never go hungry. Yeah. Because your talent will give you something that someone is going to be willing to pay for, and that's going to provide food on your table. Yeah. Every single person. Do you know this guy, Nick, who has no limbs and no legs? Nick, the motivational speaker.
No, I don't.
He's an American. He's very popular.
Oh, you have to share a link for me.
Yeah, I know. He has no legs and no hands, but he is so rich, so freaking rich. God put something in him, and that's to be able to talk to people and impact their lives. We all have something in us. For me, I know how to convince people. I know that I can sell anything, literally. Yeah. So what's your own gift? What's that one thing that if you wake up, if someone gives you a slap in the middle of your sleep, you're able to get up and do? What's that one thing? All you need to do you know how to braid hair really well? Do you know how to talk to people? Do you know how to counsel people? A young girl that I was coaching said to me that all her friends tell her that she's really good at, consoling them when they have an issue. I'm like, well, that's a gift. How do you monetize it? We live in a day and age where, the internet has come to save us, Uncle AK. Like, people are printing millions every day off the internet. But people back home in PE are using it for, just... I'm sorry.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah, I don't mean to insult anyone, which is why I decided that I'm not going to send money to people who have got 2 hands. They've got their brains intact. They can go out and work. They can add value to their lives. They say, I think it's my mentor, Jim Rohn, said that you're only going to be paid according to the value that you bring to the marketplace. If you don't have a particular skill, learn it. If you want to earn more money, improve your value. Full stop. Full stop. There's no beating about the bush. If you want to be respected, and there's this nonsense in PE that people say money is the root of all evil, or rich people are evil. Okay, wait until it's time to pay your electricity bill. Don't go and pay with that money that is evil. and see if you're going to have any lights.
Yeah.
Wait until you fall sick. Go to the hospital and tell the doctor, money is the root of all evil. So, I'm sick. Start treating me. Wait until that happens. We don't want to talk about money in Africa in general. We see it as a taboo topic. For what? For what?
Or they say, money does not buy happiness. Like, okay, I don't know about you guys, but okay. Where I'm sitting right now, the money buy all the happiness that I know. Please let nobody come and tell me nothing about money does not buy happiness. Because where I'm sitting, money buys all the happiness that I know in this world.
You see, I went on a weekend. I went on a weekend away from my kids just to have a breather. And I was sat in this really beautiful hotel resort. Breakfast in the room, nice service, nice bath. And I said, wow, if money is so evil, I want to have plenty of it.
Mm-hmm.
If money is this evil, this enjoyment I'm enjoying here, I want to have plenty of it. I'm not going to complain, I promise. But you see, in this world, there are three kinds of people. There are people who watch things happen, right? There are people who don't even know that something has happened. And there are people who make things happen.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on which category you want to fit yourself into.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to make things happen? Get up from your comfort zone. And hey, look at Uncle AK. Cameroon and Africa. I said Africa has a first mover advantage right now. Europe and America are saturated. There's so many businesses. I'm thinking, why are young people not doing this back home? If in this part of the world, you've got Uber Eats. You just sit at home, go on the app, go through different restaurants and their menus. You order something. We don't have this in Cameroon. Is anyone thinking about it? You've got all these services, you've got all these big supermarkets, Tesco's and all that deliver. But if you're a small, or if you want to start your own business as a small entrepreneur, why don't you go to Marché Sandaga, for example, in Douala? I was born and raised in Douala. I don't know any other part of Cameroon that well.
Yeah.
Why don't you go to Sandaga, where they're selling fresh produce from farms? Get it off them, wash it. You just need to brand it, isn't it? Everything is branding. Wash the tomatoes, chop them. People will pay you premium. There's a growing middle class in Cameroon. People are going back from bush that they just want to go home.
Mm-hmm.
Young couples who have gotten married and they're both working. They don't have kids yet. They don't have any help at home. Why don't you target those people? What else? Why don't you become a broker? You can go to people who have got their thing, and you say, hey, I can go and bring business, and in the middle I get a cut.
Mm-hmm.
See what the machines are making right now.
Mm-hmm.
When I was looking for a place in Monapriso, I paid 500,000 CFA just to be able to get that place from someone who had nothing to do with the building. He just went and saw the building, put it on the internet and say, house for rent here, so and so area, put his number there. And when I contacted him, before he put me in touch with the landlord, I paid. And then when I concluded my lease, I was contractually bound to pay him 500K, and he walked away. Instead of sitting on your ass and complaining how broke you are, why don't you go out and look for, there's so many things to do. There's always problems to solve. I was talking to a friend, she told me that what she does is she goes to the market, Marché Central, and she gets pictures from people who have their shops there. She puts it on her status. That's how people contact her and say, hey, I want this dress. She goes, collects it from the guy. She collects the money from the person who wants it, goes to the market, collects it from the guy, gives them, and she doesn't know how much, the guy doesn't know how much she's charged for his dress. And who cares? It's not your business. I'm just helping you to sell your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes the guy even gives her a tip and say, oh, thank you, merci, Marco. Thank you so much. These are things that enough people don't do. There are people working for offices. They don't have time to go and buy their underpants. You can be a personal shopper for them. That people don't have time to go and buy the things that they need on a daily basis. You can start a small business, put yourself out there on social media, instead of going on there to watch comedy, laugh, watch gossip and all these things that they don't benefit you in any way. If you're able to put a bit of data in your phone, use it to print some money for yourself.
Yeah.
Social media, internet is here to make everyone rich. Gone are those days when we used to say white people. No, the information that white people are exposed to, we are also exposed to nowadays. So what's the next excuse?
They say if you want to hide something from a Black person, put it in a book.
We're not reading.
We're not reading.
I say to people that, hey, listen, people write in books what they've been through, and they can save you 5 years of misery. That business that you want to get into, someone has written a book about it. There's nothing new under the sun. Nothing. My goal in 2022 is to read 100 books. And the internet, again, has made it easy. You see people talking on social media in PE, but they're recommending Netflix shows to one another instead of recommending books. I would like to start a book club someday. I want to talk to young people who are still to get into the world. Lower seat, upper seat. Fantastic classes to start molding them and changing the narrative. That culture of complacency, oh, I want to finish school and just come and work for someone. What's going to be if everyone was waiting to work for everyone? What companies are you going to be applying to?
Right.
What are you creating for the people coming behind you? That's why there's a massive gap between jobs available and those who are willing and able to work. Because not enough people are taking the risk and going into entrepreneurship, which is quite easy. I'm seeing lots of people coming up. A few of my students were thanking me. Oh, thank you so much, Coach. I'm like, well, I'm so proud of you because you did it. She started her cake thing, and I've pledged to support her with cake decor. Whenever I'm sending stuff back home, I'll send some stuff. These are things that I want to encourage. I want to be able to start a project where I provide seed capital to young entrepreneurs. People want to just start their own gig, right? Who want to do their own things. I just provide them seed capital. You run with it, and you provide the capital back for the next person to take it and run with it. And whatever profit you make, you keep it and you build on it. Because if people don't have skin in the game, they usually become complacent. It's like driving someone else's car, right? You just jump in the pothole. But when you bought the car with your own money, when you get to the pothole, you're like, slow down. Like,
that's a good analogy. Yeah. I never thought about that. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
Because you know what it pinches. You know that if you jump into a pothole and something, is distorted on your car, it's gonna cost you money, but it's your friend's car. Who cares? Although people should have skin in the game, get the money. It's not free money. You make sure that money works for you so that you can take the profit and run with it. Otherwise, how are you going to do it? You don't have the credibility to get money from the bank. You don't have any collateral. You don't have anything, property to sell. How are you going to do it? So that's something I really am looking into. My dad was a philanthropist in my village as well. He was paying tuition for kids who wanted to go to school from classes 1 all the way to class 6. But since he died, no one has done it. I want to be able to start doing that again next year. Just start from there. Just give an open scholarship to all the kids who want to go to school in my village and say, I'll call it my Tamanda's Foundation. I'll name it after my dad. Another thing that I'm really looking to do is write a book. Just to write a book that is a book that speaks to all these cultural issues that are facing Cameroon and Africa in general, and to teach people that it's okay, that there's nothing wrong in being Black. There's nothing wrong in being born in Africa in a poor country. But there's something wrong if you end up poor. There's a big
wrong with that.
Yeah. If you end up poor, if you live, die, and not rob the cemetery of your gifts, it's your fault. No one else's. It's your fault. And you will answer to God. I want to write a book, I want to write a book. In fact, I want to do so many things.
You're already doing so many things. I mean, like, people, I'm telling you, go on our website and you'll be amazed by the amount of information that's on there, from blog posts to, your podcast episodes. I was actually reading your blog posts this week, and I came, the very one that you released this month on, stop making excuses about your skin color or circumstances. Right, we can all be successful, which you've been talking about recently. It's something that I've always been thinking about. Especially in America, you have a lot of people that say, "Oh, racism, systematic racism, this, that." The white person this, white person that. I'm like, how do other Black people make it?
Exactly.
What's the difference between them and you? Like, all it takes is somebody to say, you know what, I want that, and go get it. Nobody's going to give it to you. You have to go get it. Stop making excuses. But speak a little bit about our blog post. Let me stop talking too much. Speak a little about our blog post.
Yeah, Uncle AK, you see, I spoke earlier about my MBA. When I went to London, I was like, I'm not here to play with you guys. I'm not here to play. I'm here to I'm here to kick ass. So, excuse my language. So when I got on the MBA, I told one of we're just 3 Black people on that MBA. I looked at the Nigerian girl. I said to her, Z, I'm going to have 10 A's in this MBA. She's like, I was like, yeah. And I think I told Adam as well. Z was from Nigeria and Adam was from Chad, Chadian prince and all that, bougie.
Mm-hmm.
I said to him, but he was very smart, Adam. He was really smart. And then when I look around me, I see a bunch of white people. And I was like, okay, we'll see how this pans out. And for me at the time, Uncle AK, what was going through my mind was that the only way for no one to tell me Jack, and for me not to console myself that it's because I'm Black that I'm being discriminated upon or I can't have a job, was to be the best in my class. When your light shines so bright that when you're driving and you put on the full, how they call it? Gosh.
Headlight. The headlights.
Yeah, it just blinds someone. That's how I wanted to do it. In such a way that when I'm walking through that stage on graduation day and they're like, this girl, she had 10 A's and she's the best in her cohort. No one sees my skin color. All they see is what I've got in here and the value that I can add to their organization if at all they wanted to have me on board. That's why for me, it was a no-brainer. As in, I'm not going to give anyone. That's what each and every one of us have to do. You have to make sure you're so valuable that no one is able to see your skin color, your handicap, your circumstances, where you came from. No, we can all do that. Because if someone needs you badly enough, who cares about your accent? Who cares? A good web developer, who cares whether you're from Sierra Leone, Cameroon, the poorest country in the world? They need you. And they're going to hire you and pay you premium for it. So for me, getting 10 A's in my MBA was just to shut out any issues whatsoever. I personally don't believe in systemic racism and all that. I don't believe in that. I always say that if you want to stand out, be valuable enough to not be ignored. Period. When Obama ran for president, there were white candidates. But God, me and you know how Obama would walk on stage and talk the talk. There was no way that his charisma could be ignored. There wasn't any way.
Yeah, that's right.
He came on strong. When Jay-Z or Beyonce is on stage, when they start singing, why am I going far? This guy, Stanley Eno, all these, when they start singing, do you see white guys dancing to their music? Look at Jerusalem. It's from South Africa, for crying out loud. That music has been around the world a million times over. White people and Black people are like, what were they dancing to? They were dancing to the quality of the song. They didn't care that, hey, it's a Black guy who sang this song and a Black lady, we're not going to dance to it. Hell no. They loved the content. And this song has made this guy and this lady very successful. Put them on the map. Put their country on the map. How can you put your country on the map? And stop complaining. The internet is there to make life super easy for it. That's why I say we can all be successful. Right now, there's no excuse that you can give. If you don't have capital, there's an article on my website, www.youngandindependent.com, how to 6 businesses that you can start with 0 capital. Literally. You can go on to create a Facebook page. Is completely free. To create an Instagram is completely free. You can create one. You can go on there and start, there was one of the services I forgot to mention, which is more manpower, which you can upscale and create a whole agency behind. It's cleaning. You can
Yes,
start
that's
cleaning
true.
people's homes. There are young professionals in Kuala, in particular in Yaoundé, who need people to just, when they're gone, to come and fold their clothes, pop them into a washing machine, hand wash them, whatever. You can start from there and raise capital. No condition is permanent, but in order to get ahead, we have to start from somewhere. Start where you are. Start with what you have. Start with fear, but just start.
Yep.
Start and
Yep.
keep going,
Yep.
and you will succeed. That's why we can all be successful.
Yes.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you on that. And shout out to Reach Aqua. We've had him on our platform. The founder and CEO of Generosity Global, Cameroonian as well. He also is here in the States. He also has a cleaning business. He actually cleans people's homes or hotels and stuff like that, right? So he started by himself and then eventually started hiring people, to join that business. So why not? Again, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a step, but you just need to face your fears. Face your fears. You mentioned something earlier about monetizing. You mentioned something earlier about podcasting, it not being saturated, although people want to say it's saturated. What is your opinion on monetizing, and also when people say, hey, there's a lot of people in that space, that's why I don't want to venture in there. Or hey, a lot of people are doing that, and I don't think I can add value to it. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, what I can say as someone who just started podcasting is that you've got your own unique message, right? You've got your own unique character, you've got your own unique voice, and you've got your own unique experiences. Depending on what you want to delve into, the way you say it, the way people will connect to you and your story is completely different. For me, this scarcity mindset is something that, listen, when you go to Spotify, right? How many music, how many songs, how many artists do you meet on there? Each artist has his or her own listener.
Facts.
Every now and then a new artist pops up and he becomes the happening thing. Why? Is it that artists did not exist before? Music did not exist before? No. Tomorrow, Davido is going to be pushed back. Wizkid is going to be pushed back. New artists are coming up. If you believe enough in your craft, okay, if you believe enough in the message and you have your own unique way of transmitting your message, people will listen to Uncle AK, and they'll listen to Sylvie. And nothing wrong with that. Some people will listen more to me because I'm a woman, and some people will listen more to you because you're a guy. And nothing wrong with that. Some people will listen to you because you're from a wing. Some people listen to me because I'm from Beba. And nothing wrong with it. There is plenty for everyone. So to limit yourself and say, hey, a lot of people are already doing this now, I don't think it's the right approach. I think that's your fear. It's really your fear taking the lead on you. Once you get that, you arrest that situation, that fear, everything else is going to. I mean, when I started podcasting, if you listen to my old podcast, it was my first time putting myself out there. This whole thing is new to me. I've always been in the background. Like one of my friends said to me, Sylvie, you like this, you don't talk a lot. I'm like, well, I don't believe in just yabbing, I believe in walking into a space and people are like, and being mysterious, and people are like, who's this? Who is this? And I believe that once you open your mouth, you tell the world who you are. So I try as much as possible to keep to myself and not be lousy, because when you're too lousy, people tend to take you for granted, and you can sort of dilute your value in a space. So I always keep to myself. And so I say to people that at the end of the day, at the end of it all, when all is said and done, when you sit back, do you truly believe that you've done all that you could do? Because all that you can do is all that you can do. And all that you can do is enough. But make sure you do all that you can do. If you think that podcasting is something that you want to do it. Try your hands on different things. Experiment. You don't know that one thing that is going to open doors for you, that's going to take you places. So, hey, start your podcast. Anchor is free. I pay for Spreaker. but Anchor is free. What's your excuse? Once you hit 50 listeners on Anchor, you start getting paid for it. Blurt out your feelings, blurt out what you've seen around you, blurt out what you want to, the message that you want to, you will have your own unique listener base. You will. People, I listen to different podcasts to financial educators, different ones. I don't listen to one particular one. The same people who are looking for content when it comes to fashion will listen to many people who are talking about fashion. So why limit yourself, or why shut a door when you haven't even tried to walk through it? Why?
Right.
Yeah. That's my take.
People's attention spans these days are very short. We could keep wrapping up. We keep chatting about this, but let's close it like this. Is there something that you haven't mentioned that you would like for the people to know? And in that same space, what advice do you have for people who just sit on their ass and expect people to do stuff for them?
Oh, yeah. Well, the last one, I'll start with the last one. So I used to be the kind of person who does everything for everyone, right? The people that I cared about, but I stopped. Why? Because I felt that I was doing them a disservice. When someone is not hungry, right, Uncle AK, they will not look for food to eat. So someone has got to be hungry enough, and then if they don't find food, they'll go out and get it. If they don't have the money, they'll go out and look for a way to earn it. There's a girl who came on a France Bank and she said people should stop sending money from Bush to Cameroon. It was a Francophone girl, a Kamga lady. And people were so upset with her, and she said no. She's not saying she doesn't love her fellow Cameroonians or her own family, but she just realized that the more she sent money, the more they sat on their ass and just watched TV all day. So, and I said to you, I think I did mention that I stopped sending money back home. Don't even bother. People slide into my, and they said, I don't even open it, especially when I know that you're strong and healthy. I believe that we should be helping children who shouldn't go into child labor, who should be in school. If you've got any excess cash, you should work a program around them to provide for them books and whatever. I believe that we should be helping widows who have just lost their husbands, who are vulnerable, people like that, people in hospitals who are struggling to pay their bills. Those are the people that I'm willing to help, not people who think, oh, I've got my sister in Bush, I'm going to call her, I've got my cousin, my friend, whatever. Don't bother, because I don't even open it. The takeaway that I would like to leave everyone listening today is that at the end of the day, it depends on us. We have to know this. The moment you realize that you are all that you've got, you will make sure that you survive. And if you want to die, it's a shame. But if you want to survive, you will make sure that you do all that you can do, because all that you can do is enough. But just make sure that you go out there, you try your hands on things, work on projects, send it out to people, ask for help. I believe that if someone had messaged me and said, hey, I've got this business plan, this is what I intend to do, I don't have the money, can you help me? I mean, if you receive something like that, Uncle AK, you see someone who's got the passion, won't you help, or won't you at least have a look and hear them out? But that's not what you hear. Those people just slide into your DM and say, hey, I'm having this issue. Can you send me? No, you've got to ask skin in the game. People don't understand this. Please, before you ask, make a proposal of what you're giving. People are more, and then there's this thing back home as well, where people feel that when you have something, you have to give it all until you're dry. No. Iyanla Vanzant said something that resonated deeply with me. She said, and this is the last thing I'm going to say on this podcast, that you've got to be self-full. It's not selfish. It's not selfish to be self-full. The Bible says that what is in the cup is yours, because let your cup run it over. And the people around you, what is running over is for you all. But you cannot work yourself out, because people work in Cameroon, they're making 100,000, cousin, auntie, uncle, sister, before they even go back home. They don't have any money to save. They don't have any money to invest. They don't have any money to start a side gig. If you're trying to swim to the shore and you're carrying everyone, all of you will drown. But if only you can swim to the shore, perhaps you can find a stick, you can find help, you can run back to the sea with a boat, something to help everyone else. So this particular mentality has to change. And this nonsense as well, that people feel that life is easy abroad, is just a big fat myth that I'm trying to dismantle. Because so many people abroad work so hard, they send money back home, and the people back home just squander it. Why can you expect that someone who is working so hard, depriving themselves, send money back home to start a business? You sit there, you run it aground, and you think that they're going to continuously send that? So what happens if there's no inflow of capital, right? What happens? There's capital flight.
Yeah.
Someone's leaving Cameroon to buy stuff from all over the world. So who are you employing? You're employing the people in China, because China is producing, and for them to produce, they employ people. Mm-hmm. So all that money is going out, and you guys are complaining back home that there's no work. Yet when people in the diaspora who are willing and able to send money back home for you guys to start businesses, they even come and start businesses and give you the opportunity to run it, to grow it, and to make something of it on your own. You still run it aground. Where are we headed?
Yeah.
Where are we headed?
Yeah. That reminds me of that, and I'll say this too, and then we'll close out. That reminds me of, back then when Cameroon, and, say for example, there's a container, of water, and then you would see, say, Tangi, for example, and you see it come from Nigeria, go, oh, Nigerians are producing, man, they're bootlegging everything. So there I sit, I'm like, look at China, Nigeria. Almost the same thing. What's the difference? Yeah. Why can't we just adopt the same thing? You know what I mean? Adopt the same thing and make life better for people. So, yeah. How can people reach you? How can people connect with you and all that stuff?
Well, you can reach out on www.youngandindependent.com. Please go and read those articles. They will bless your life. If you read them intentionally, and if you go there with an open heart to grab something to change your life, you will definitely stumble on something that will shift your perspective. You can also check out our podcast, Young and Independent Podcast. It's on Spreaker, on Spotify, on iHeart. We're all on all these platforms. And if you go on Facebook, Young and Independent People, join it. We post job opportunities every single day. And on Instagram, Young and Independent 35. Check it out. Join if you have any issues whatsoever. And I also share scholarship opportunities, for those who want to go to school in different countries abroad. I'm willing to help as many people as possible. All of this is free of charge. Obviously, when I get too busy, I'm going to try and see if I can upscale it and get some other people on board to see how we can continue to do this for free. Because, freely you give, freely you receive from God, right?
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true.
Yeah, the Bible says, "Bless and you shall be blessed." So I'm holding on strongly to that. Yeah, so that's how I can.
Well, I appreciate your time, energy. I appreciate your inputs on this platform. Everything you said is wonderful. You know what I mean? Like, it's what I really need to hear. Is what I would take, carry forth even in my own personal journey. I like to also go back sometimes and listen to past episodes just because, sometimes there's so much information in the world that, you can let certain things slip through the cracks. So I really, really appreciate you taking the time, to sit down and chop it up with me. And also I encourage you, the masses too, to go, to her website, hit up on what her website actually has, the Facebook link, WhatsApp link, podcast link, and Instagram link. She just said something about her WhatsApp group. What is possibly stopping you who wants to, get into that entrepreneurial space from going and following that group? You know what I mean? What's stopping you who wants to become a Scrum Master, for example, to follow agile groups down on WhatsApp, Telegram, and all that stuff and participate in the groups as well? There's nothing stopping you. And most of all, for those of you who they send jobs to and you don't apply, but yet complain that you don't get calls, stop complaining and just do the work. I get in a week, I get more than 100 rejections. And I smile through it like there's no tomorrow. Why? Because it's just what the world is. Nothing will be handed. You just have to keep pushing and pushing. And as you push, one day God will bless you. You know what I mean? One day God will bless you. But if you sit on your ass, it ain't gonna happen like that. It ain't gonna happen like that.
Mana ain't falling anymore.
It is not. It's gone. It's done and done. Done and done. Done and done. Sylvie, Tamanda is a young, independent Black woman with a vision to help young people like myself, Africans that embrace a positive shift in culture, learn practical tips on talent management, entrepreneurship, wealth creation, add value to your life, and meet your full potential. Keep doing what you do. We really, really appreciate people like you, coaches like you. So please don't stop. Just keep doing you and keep running that bank account up. You know what I mean? Because there's nothing like seeing your zeros increasing that way.
You know, right?
There's nothing like that.
Thank you so much. Thank you, really.
For sure. I'm Uncle AK, and please don't forget to review this show on all social platforms or all streaming platforms. We'd love to see your comments. We'd love to engage with that. If there's something we're doing wrong, use the comment section to tell us, to correct that. If there's something we're doing right, also comment as well. You know what I mean? We'd love to engage with you guys. If there's a guest that you would like for us up on the platform, shoot us an email at sitmpodcast237@gmail.com or hit us up on all social platforms. Just don't go in there only to respond to nonsense. When I say nonsense, I don't mean nonsense, but I'm talking about like those things that would not make you, increase your revenue or increase, your quality of life. Send questions that, we can engage with you. We can have our guests like Sylvie, Kate, Rich Arco, that we've mentioned in this episode, that, that they can help you, navigate through or network with them as well. That's why we're having, these individuals on here. This conversation will not end here. I already have your email. So if there's anything that I need with myself, I'm definitely going to hit you up.
I'll be waiting.
For sure. I appreciate you. This was SITM Podcast, and we are out.